Let's rock and roll, baby. Hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris, and today on the Rock and Roll Podcast, we have CRYPTOSIS. They have a new album called Bionic Swarm, which released on March 26th via Century Media Records. Right now, I'm being joined by Frank to share some more information about this stellar release, as well as all the questions that I have about this little subtitle where it says that Frank plays the Mellotron. So, Frank, welcome to the show.
Cool, thanks.
Absolutely great to have you on. How is life in your corner of the world? You're in Netherlands, correct?
Yes, correct. So we are in a COVID evening curfew lockdown. We just had, I think, yesterday elections for a new political system. So, things are changing, but still, it's not that great, actually.
Well, that's not good to hear. I guess on the political front, are things getting better or the results aren't in yet?
The results getting in right now, but it looks like it's getting the same as it was before. So not much change.
Good. Democracy is at work again. Absolutely love your sweater, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, it's not metal maybe as the music, but who cares,
I guess so. Yeah. What would a more metal sweater be?
Yeah, I think black with a print that's dripping blood or whatever.
Yes. Yes. Actually, have you seen somebody made? They're either t-shirts or they're sweaters or both, but it's an HM2 pedal on either the sweater or the shirt. So that would be pretty metal. You could have a Boss HM2 pedal.
Life size.
Yeah, life size Boss HM2 pedal. Which kind of actually brings me to an interesting question. Did you guys record with anything unique like that? Like a particular pedal or set of pedals?
Yeah, actually, I recorded a few bass lines with the HM2 pedal as well for bass. So I think it's pretty unique, and it's definitely only on a few spots, on the album. But yeah, and like you mentioned, Mellotron, we used that a lot for this album. So yeah, I think we did a few of those things. Yes.
Okay, so many in-depth, incredible questions, Frank. Number one, the Boss HM2. Do you guys have one? Did the studio have one? How did that come up? How did that happen?
No, the studio, they had one, and they, we were pretty open to exploring and experimenting with some sounds, and so this guy said, yeah, I got a HM2, maybe we can, do a few touches here and there for guitars, and, I don't think for guitar in our sound it, works out so well, but they said, yeah, I got a few parts that has got, really melodic guitar part, but maybe we should try it on bass and see what happens. And it turned out to be very great. And you can't really clearly hear it in the mix, but if you know how it sounds, then you definitely hear it. So
yeah,
it's a bit hidden in the mix, but it's definitely there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, traditionally that would be done by like a rat pedal or something, right?
Yeah,
some other kind of distortion pedal.
Yep.
But with that one specifically, it sounded like you guys were going for something, which is cool. Did you run it into the amp, or is it a separate signal from the amp?
No, I think, I used it with a Rickenbacker bass into a Ibanez Tube Screamer pedal, and then that one went into a Boss HM2, and that one went into the orange amp with a little bit of distortion there as well. So it was pretty, overdrive and pretty over the top.
Mm-hmm. There's quite the chain there. A very guitar-centric chain. Yeah. I'm watching the music video right now, and there you are with your Rickenbacker. Actually, it's an interesting question. Not exactly a metal bass guitar, or at least not one I think of one. I could be wrong. But what's the decision into doing a Rickenbacker? What do you like about it?
Well, I used to play for many years with a Gibson Thunderbird bass. Maybe you know that one. It sounds, it sounds great. It has a lot of sub low. But then, like we are a band with just one guitar player, so there's a lot of mid frequencies that isn't really there, with that Gibson bass. And although I really love the way it's hanging around my neck and the way I play with it, but then I saw this Rickenbacker bass in a local music store, and it was price wise pretty good. So I just thought like I had to have it. And I bought it. I experimented a little bit with it, and I think it's great for our sound, and it has exactly that the frequencies that this Gibson bass is missing. The Rickenbacker has it, and so for me it's definitely the instrument go to for bass in this setup. And you say like it's not really metal, but Cliff Burton of Metallica uses Rickenbacker first couple of albums. Lemmy, like it doesn't get more metal than that. I think
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I stand corrected, Frank. I stand very well. That's funny too. Like, what exactly would be a metal bass? And I guess maybe for a while, everybody was using some kind of Ibanez bass, that looked a certain way. But how many recordings are using like a Fender P bass, for example? Cool.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the genre and the sound that you're aiming for. Like for example, Iron Maiden always uses like this Fender bass, and it's great for their sound, but in our setup, I think it won't make much sense. And also it's a taste, like some people drive a Mercedes car, like some people drive a different brand, and it's all only about their taste. And I think it's with a bass or a guitar or drums, it's exactly the same like that.
Yeah. Now, something I just realized that you just pointed out, because I didn't recognize this before, is you guys are a trio.
Yep.
And I don't get that, at least from the production on the record. It sounds like you guys are like a 5-piece band.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment.
You're quite welcome. So when you mentioned, the sound of the bass in terms of mid-range, does your playing, like the parts that you play, is that considerably different as a result of being a trio?
Yeah, definitely. There's more space, so to speak, to fill. And when you're with a band with two guitar players, it's definitely like those two guitar players, they're trying to get the most attention in the band. And when you have only one guitar player, then there's more room for drums, more room for vocals, more room for bass, for different kinds of instruments. Yeah.
Okay. Now, something else you mentioned was the Mellotron. Was it a real Mellotron or was it a plug-in?
A pedal.
Okay, so very cool. How did you guys end up using that? What did you use? Was it like the boys' choir? Was it the 3 violins? What was it?
No, it's the orchestra setting, I think, that we're using the most. And for some parts, we did some overdubs with the choirs, yeah.
Okay, very cool. You just have like a Mellotron kicking around, the pedal?
No, when we were a different band before with the same guys, we also were a trio, and there was a lot of problems we had with a live sound, like when there's a guitar solo, it sounded very thin. So that at one moment I just bought this Rickenbacker bass. It was a bit better, but still it wasn't really doing the job. And then I found out about a lot of. I was just researching a lot of things, and I saw a lot of videos about Rush, and I saw that they were using like many synthesizers with bass and singing, like Geddy Lee is really a master, at doing all these different things at one time. And, that got me thinking like, there should be a pedal that just emulates a different sound than just guitar or bass or, delay or overdrive, whatever. And then I found out about this company called Electro Harmonics, and they have like so many great pedals, and they sound really good, and they're like really different from each other. And I was just checking out some videos, and then I found this Mellotron, and I was just like blown away. Like I thought like, wow, this can really upgrade our sound. And the first time I brought it to the rehearsal space, the other guys, you know, they were really impressed by what it did to our sound. So from that moment, it just became, you know, like center point in our development and sound of this band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's also I think it's also the reason why eventually we changed our band name, you know, to this to CRYPTOSIS. And so yeah, it was a pretty big development within our camp, you know.
Yeah, so you mentioned you changed the name. Was it like a big style change as well? Like, how did that happen?
Well, we used to play like typical 80s thrash metal music, you know, and at the time, you know, that was great. But, you know, we got a little bit bored with that, and, you know, we couldn't find spaces to put our own, you know, inspiration in there. And so we just wrote a new album, and we just said, like, you know, we're going to let loose of every boundary of genre, or, you know, or rule or whatever. And we're just going to play music that we love. And so we did that, and, you know, during the course of the songwriting, you know, we just said, like, yeah, maybe we should change our band name, you know, because this is going to sound totally different than what we did before. And of course, there's some DNA of the band that we had in the past, you know, but I think this will only open up new opportunities and ways, you know, of writing new stuff that's even more you know, different than what we did before. So I think it was a good development, and it was a bit of a gamble, but, you know, for us it turned out pretty well, because we finished this album, we thought about the name change, then, you know, we just sent out some demos to some record labels, and I think straight away we got in contact with Century Media, and they really liked our ideas and our creative vision behind it. And so, you know, I think it was a good move in the end.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Now take us through, if you don't mind, because this appears to be... Sorry, I have something in my eye, and I'm trying to carry on without disturbing the interview. So don't mind me looking like this. I still like you. It looks like a concept album of some sort. Last time I looked at the screen, it said, okay, there we go, 2149. So take us through this Bionic Swarm in the year 2149. What is it? What's going on? What's happening? Is this a concept album, Frank?
It's definitely a concept album, and yeah, it deals with, basically it's like every song is a story seen through the eyes of a different person living in that year. So, you know, one story, for example, is about a hospital that is like 100% completely without, you know, people. You know, you get surgery with a computer and a machine, and everything is really, you know, like that. But then there is also a counter movement, and, you know, they try to hack into that system, and it get a bloody mess, you know. So that, for example, that's one, you know, subject, but there's also a different subject, and that's, for example, the song Decypher. It's really like technology talking about, you know, how they are like superior to humans, like, you know, the way we see cattle, you know, and the way we treat animals. And so every song is like based around technology and sci-fi themed things that we think could be possible.
I see. And I'm watching, you guys are pretty busy here. You have a music video for 4 songs, at least at the time of recording this interview, and I'm watching one of them right now for Decypher, since you'd mentioned that. How did you guys end up making all these music videos? Was it just, yeah, I guess that's my question, because with the pandemic going on and curfews and all those things, how did you guys end up having time to do all this?
Well, it was always a dream for us, you know, to do many music videos for an album, and the basic idea was to do a music video for every song on the album. But, you know, financially there was a step too far, and so, you know, we ended up with a good friend of us who is really a good filmmaker, and you know, like we had many ideas, and Century Media gave us some budget, so we could actually make our dreams possible. You know, like for example, the video you're watching now with Decypher, it's 3D animations, and that's something, you know, that's really expensive, but it was something that we always wanted to do, you know, and we always were assigned to smaller independent labels, and they don't have the means and the budget to do something like that. And with all due respect, of course, but now we got this opportunity, and we just wanted to make the most out of it.
Yeah, I guess take us through that, because that almost sounds like the dream for a lot of bands that may be listening in right now, is creating something, getting signed to a label, and then they give some kind of financial backing to help you. And I'm speculating there wasn't much to how much was there to show them, I guess, when you were shopping around for labels? Was there like a big social media following? Did you guys have a lot of record sales? What did you guys have to show them where they were confident in giving you that backing?
Well, basically, we just said to our manager, who is pretty well known here in the European metal scene. We just said, like, okay, this is our new album. It's completely mixed. Just send it to your contacts, but please do not mention our previous band. Just say this is a new band, and this is a new record, and just let us know what you think. So we are basically signed, under those circumstances, and we didn't really, had like things to show besides the music, and we even didn't have artwork for the front cover. It was made later. It was really bizarre, it was a pandemic, and we only heard like stories, people, saying like, companies going bankrupt, stuff like that. And, we were talking about a contract for this album, and we even didn't have a band name at the time, we just said like, we're going to release it with a new band name, but that's it. And then, we had a contract with a Century Media logo, but still, there was no band name. So we had to come up with it. So there was a really hectic time for us, and really, thunderstorm in our lives, because we had to arrange so many things, behind the scenes. Like, we are a registered company in the Netherlands, so we had to change all this stuff, with a legal firm and whatsoever. So it was really it was really crazy for us, and we also didn't we didn't expect to be signed by a label with such a with such a big name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, it's what do you call it? Let's call it a success story.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and it's really great that they have so many confidence in the music, that they just want to release it, and try to for them it's a big gamble too, because nobody ever heard about our band name before.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's happening a lot in the last year and a half, almost at this point. Pandemic's been going on for a year now as of recording, so I shouldn't say a year and a half, but a lot of projects are coming up out of nowhere with absolutely no trace of a history, because there can't be.
Yeah.
But a lot of labels are taking chances now, so it's interesting to see what's going to come of, I guess, the music industry landscape from here forward.
Yeah, but of course, they make a lot more money when they sign a band that has already a name out there. Like when you put on a poster, people instantly buy their records because they think it's a great band. And for us, it's just like people have to listen to the music first and then maybe decide to buy a vinyl record. So it's I think it's really great that they dare to do this.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, sir, we chatted about Boss HM2 pedals, we chatted about the Mellotron pedal, we chatted about Geddy Lee, which, as a fellow Canadian, I think he does Rickenbacker basses as well.
Definitely.
Yep. Very, also, given the time frame and the kind of band they were, very mid-range forward tone for bass.
Yeah.
We chatted about Rickenbacker basses. My goodness gracious, we chatted about music videos, we chatted about the future and how dark it is with counter movements and forward movements. Chatted about the album Bionic Swarm. We chatted about you guys getting signed to Century Media and the process a bit behind that. My goodness gracious, I think we chatted about everything. Frank, is there anything I missed?
Our album is out March 26th, next Friday.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So that's an important for us. That's a really important date. Then it's everything is out. You can listen to it on Spotify, and
Beautiful.
we're going to do a live stream concert. Maybe that's one thing that's really nice. In April 24th, we're going to do a live stream concert with we're going to play the album from front to back, and really make it like an experience, and totally different than just drums and guitars on stage, and like most concerts are, also most live streams are these days. So we're going to try something really special about it.
Okay. Very cool. Well, Frank, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Thanks for having me, and have a good day.
Hello, hello, or should I say goodbye, goodbye. Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Metal Podcast. I've been your host, John Harris. Please head over to our website at www.therockmetalpodcast.ca. There you can sign up for our newsletter and find out more information about today's show.